Good evening, Watson families, and welcome to this week's edition of Tuesday Tales with Mr. Jackson. This evening, I have the privilege of reading for you, because of you, John Lewis, the true story of a remarkable friendship. This is by Andrea Davis Pinkney, and it is illustrated by Keith Henry Brown. Join me as we read. His name is as bright as the dawn filled with star. Tirab Fa. He wakes with a dream that sets the sky in motion. Tirab whispers his wish. I want to meet John Lewis. I want to shake his hand. I want to tell the congressman exactly who I am. Me, Tirab. That beautiful name sings with the music of possibility. When you're a kid from Johnson City, Tennessee, home of the Tweetsie Trail and the lake called Boone, when you're a kid growing up in the days of Black Lives Matter, you know the power of hope that glistens at sunrise. Tirab's grandmother knows too. They pour all their hopes into that child's future. In their eyes, he is the light that shines on tomorrow, while his brilliance flickers today. When Tirab first discovers his hero, John Robert Lewis, he was a friend of Martin Luther King Jr., it lights his dream on fire. He wants to know the man who stands for peace and love and truth. Then for the pages spring the words that put wings on Tirab's wish. John Lewis, all about equality. John Lewis, unstoppable and brave. John Lewis marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, helped 600 people fight for voting rights, risked his life on a day we now call Bloody Sunday in 1965, makes the same journey year on year, keeping the memory alive. John Robert Lewis was a sharecropper's son, with dreams of becoming a preacher. He even preached his little kid sermons to the chickens on the family farm. When you're a boy in Troy, Alabama, home of the Dixie Trail, Gospel Sundays, the Gut Bucket Blues, when you were a boy who tasted the bitter fruits of racism, faith flows like gold from a honeycomb. One Sunday morning, years later, while John listened to the radio, the words of Martin Luther King crackled through the Zenith speakers. Who was this man? Martin, telling the truth of Jim Crow's thorny beak. Martin, speaking the honest to goodness about hate. Martin, talking about racism and standing up against it with peace and love. Hearing Martin's word lit a light in John's heart. They flew straight to John's wide open hopes and tucked themselves into the deepest pockets of his understanding. I want to meet that clergyman. I want to shake his hand. I want to tell Martin Luther King Jr. exactly who I am. Me, John Robert. Tirab Fa reads and wants and waits. He has caught the fire of Martin and John. Tirab reads in his history book. John Lewis got the nickname Good Trouble on account of speaking out for what was right. Tirab reads about John Lewis at lunch counter sit-ins, freedom rides, and registering people to vote. He reads it in the newspaper. John Lewis brought his own kind of bowl to the House of Representatives. Every time Tirab reads, he bookmarks, underlines, folds back, keeps track of anything to do with where and when the unstoppable Congressman John Lewis. Then comes the day. Tirab convinces his grandmother to pack up their car, fill its tank, stuff the back seat with a snack box and books, and make the 400-mile drive to Johnson City, Tennessee to Selma, Alabama, where his hero would be making the once-a-year march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. A whole lifetime before Tyrep was born, John Lewis, now a teen applying to college, wrote a letter to Martin Luther King Jr., told him Troy State University is segregated, told him schooling is unfair, told him whites only signed everywhere. John asked Martin what to do about Jim Crow's crooked croon in segregated, prejudiced state of Alabama. That's when the bus ticket arrived. Martin Luther King Jr. invited John Lewis to meet him. Martin called John the boy from Troy, and they called each other friend. In time, John and Martin came together, arm in arm, heading in the same direction with the many men and women in the movement. From 1960 to 1962, lunch counter sit-ins and freedom rides tested the segregated South. And in 1963, 250,000 marched on Washington for equality, jobs, and fair pay. John gave a keynote speech. He put it straight. Wake up, America. We will not and cannot be patient. Martin told the world, I have a dream. In 1964 came Freedom Summer, registering black folks to vote, getting them to the ballot box. In 1965, peace believers marched over the Edmund Pettus Bridge, still fighting for that precious right to vote. But halfway across came racism's pounding rain, thunderous beatings to John's head, billy clubs, bam, skull cracking, slam, tear gas, pepper spray, seeing stars explode in broad daylight, then not seeing, blinded, blacked out, broken bones, choked. John's faith was tested by scars, slow to heal on the way to change. John and Martin stayed strong, stayed proud, brother friends, together forever. Then came April 4th, 1968, the heartbreaking day when Martin rose, escaping to a place where hatred doesn't live, crossing heaven's bridge, on the other side of bigotry, rising to a higher love, on the shoulders of saints and angels, Harriet, Frederick, Sojourner, Du Bois. John Lewis knew he and other makers of good trouble were left to carry on Martin's dream for peace, to stitch the seams of his legacy. Through the years, legacy threads weave on, stitching in hopes of Tyrep fall, quilted patches of the bright promise. Tyrep, bold. Tyrep, more ready than ever. Tyrep, wide awake. During the 7-hour car trip to Selma, where John Lewis, the congressman, prepares his memory march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Tyrep waits at the back door of the Brown Chapel AME Church, hoping to meet the fighting for freedom, peace-seeking giant, Congressman John. Tyrep wishes, Tyrep prays, Tyrep waits, Tyrep stays, stands straight and proud, heart beating loud, hours and hours and hours, pressed shirt, necktie, new shoes, lace tight, holding his sign of the times. Thank you, Representative John Lewis. You have shown me how to have courage. Then, can it truly be? Yes, here, really here, a beautiful miracle, good trouble. Shake, shake, shaking. Tyrep Fall is shaking John Lewis's hand. They talk, they hug. Tyrep trembles from the deep down knowing that his dream has come true. Right then, at the spot, Congressman John invites Tyrep, who has come all the way from Tennessee, to make that trip across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, walking next to him. As the new friends walk, they rise on the wings of every wade in the water that has crossed the bridge before, and those who echo still whispers a sweet refrain, praise be people, praise be. Together, Tyrup Faw and Congressman John Lewis bridged the legacy that has spanned from Jim Crow's screech to I Have a Dream to Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do. John and Tyrup flutter up, 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 straight to the heart and the soul of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Those who believe that deep down Congressman John knew he had needed a kid with brand new shoes and a sturdy laces tied tight for walking ahead, ready to take the next steps of freedom's journey, ready to follow in the legacy's footstep by leading with his own brave feet, ready to reach. And then on the sad, sad day, when heaven's cloak called John home, when Martin, who had risen to the other side, gave an up nod to his brother friend, when the world said goodbye to the crusader named Good Trouble, when Congressman John Lewis was laid to rest, Tyrup Faw stepped up, stood tall, and spoke. From the Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Martin had his pulpit, Tyrup delivers his hero's favorite poem, Invictus, brings those words ahead like the sun rising on the bright horizon. Yes, Tyrup does. Speaks about courage, speaks about strength, speaks about the determination of moving past doubt. Invictus, all about being the master of your fate. Now is Tyrup's time to celebrate the man who past led to now. Yes, Tyrup's time has come to pay his respects while the world pays attention, listening and learning from those still on the road, and trusting that we can open a world of possible. On that same day, President Obama celebrates possibility's truth. Because of you, John Lewis, I stand here today. Tyrup from Tennessee, he knows it too. Because of you, John Lewis, we shall not be moved. Because of you, John Lewis, we can all look to the sky. We can all rise up. We all can fly. Do you see it up there? The wide, wide blue? Because of you and you and you, we will lace new shoes, cross bridges, wake up, wish, and march toward a brighter future. Thank you, boys and girls, for joining me for this week's edition of Tuesday Tales. Because of you, John Lewis, a true story of a remarkable friendship. Thank you.